My name is Emma Strickland, and I am running for student body president.
All right, and then your year, your major, and if you have a minor.
I am a junior studying neuroscience with a minor in law and society.
Okay. And then could you tell us about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
Yeah, absolutely. So our campaign is really based around serving all students on campus and reaching real results. I was actually at Carolina Day this morning, which is something we do to connect with our South Carolina legislatures. And kind of what they were saying is that the motto for the day was that we are not just the University of South Carolina, but we are the university for South Carolina. And so that really resonated with me. I want to be a president that is for all students here. So our platform is based on three main pillars of infrastructure, support, and innovation. So with infrastructure, we're looking at continuing the Russell House expansion plan that is currently being proposed by our student body president, but making sure that that is pushed through the next term and that students can expect a better student union that is up to standards and make sure that they have something that is worthy of and has the space that they need at the heart of our campus. The other thing we're looking at is parking solutions on campus. I know that that's a big issue that's being talked about. So finding different lots to use. I know a lot of schools, Clemson does it, I believe FSU does it too. They use their tailgating space during the week as student lots, and then the cars are moved elsewhere over the weekend. So making that another option for parking so that hopefully spots in Bull Street and Discovery, those popular garages on campus have more availability for students who are coming to campus every day. Kind of in that realm too, updating our transit system. We are already adding more zip cars, which has been a great addition this year, kind of giving the freshmen who may not have their cars on campus another option to go get groceries and go to the store when they need, as well as expanding our Uber discount program, which is also being worked on, and I would love to continue through the next term as well, but also expanding our transit system to some nearby off-campus housing, the apartments that are right near campus, so that those students have easy, accessible ways to get to campus for classes, and just making sure that our university is supported for both the number of students we have and, as we know, the increasing number of students we have. And then going into our kind of support pillar, one of the key things we want to look at is transfer student support. They have their own specialized orientation, but making sure that they have support beyond that. So looking at a transfer student advisory council and some extra resources for them. One of our SEC counterparts, UTK, they have a great program for transfer students that their student government, I think, has recently introduced, and kind of doing something similar to that and finding new ways to support those transfer students. The other one is alumni connections. Well, we have a lot of donors here at South Carolina. We have a really strong alumni association. Both of my roommates are in Darla, and so getting to see the resources that their career center has. They have a great program called More Connect that connects students with specifically Darla alumni, and making sure that that's kind of standard across all the campuses, all the colleges here, to get those alumni connections, make sure that students have that real world readiness. That way we're providing them more than just academics here. And then moving into our third point of innovation, making sure that we're leading Carolina forward. I think I've noticed sometimes I forget that we even have a parking app or that we have a safety app because there's 10 different apps that we use for different things. So unifying that all under one USC platform so that, again, it's just more accessible for students, and also looking at the integration of career coaching into academic advising. We have a great career center here, and I would love to work with their directors and their career coaches to integrate that process into academic advising, potentially for upperclassmen. That way that we are leading in not only academics, but also, again, in that like postgraduate skill set and having those resources. So I think what students can expect of me is that I will be dedicated to this university. I've been in student government all 3 years, and I have so much love for the students here, for the university, and they can expect real results. We want things that are tangible, and we want to find ways to make every student's life better here at Carolina.
And how do you realistically plan to implement your campaign promises?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of what we're looking at are things that are kind of in the works. So we have some new ideas too, but these are things that are being talked about on the administration level, on the board of trustee level. So they just need that extra push, and it needs to be continued. So I think that I'm not making promises that are completely out of the blue. These aren't ideas that haven't been talked about, that aren't already being considered. So I am looking at things that are realistically going to happen on campus, and that just need, another year of leadership to make sure that they get through that approval stage and things actually get implemented. For the new ideas, I think student government has a great working relationship with administrators here, which sets us up really well. The last couple administrations have done a great job about building that trusting relationship. So being able to work with our IT department, who, again, great connection with him, and making things like that app possible. I think using that connection, that trust that we've built up with administration, makes all of these ideas something that can absolutely happen, and if not the next year, the next couple of years, because some of these are big projects, but making sure that they're things that are just seen through the final stages.
And how does your platform differ from your opponents?
I do think that there is, as I've seen, a lot of overlap in some of our platform ideas, which I think is great. I think that means that we're focusing on the main concerns that students here want to see. I think something that makes both our campaign and our platform a little different is that I am more than just student government. I have been involved in multiple different organizations across campus. I currently work as chief of staff for our student body vice president. And so what our vice president's branch is mainly responsible for is the programming and kind of the face-to-face student interaction that student government receives. So getting feedback from not only members of student government, but members in Greek life, members in the pre-professional fraternities in that world. I work part-time, so knowing kind of that relationship that students have, I think that just makes us unique, and that we are able to represent every type of student across campus. If I can't relate to you maybe directly, I probably have some connection to what you're involved in, and making sure that it's every student. This is not about student government, but it's about all USC students. And I think Ashley and our platform together, we really address every issue that affects every type of student across campus.
And what would success look like at the end of your term?
I think success would look like, one, building up a good team around me. I don't think that this job is possible alone, and I absolutely know that it is not. So making sure that we have a good support system, which we really do. I have loved getting to work with Ashley on this campaign as she's rerunning for treasurer. So building up our exec, building up the members of student government, making sure that they are all feeling accomplished in their jobs, and that like I said, this is a team effort. So as we bring in the new positions, hearing their ideas and making sure that I can support not only things I want to see, but things that other members of student government want to see. But I think it's the little things that really make you successful in this job. This past year, we were able to increase the number of water bottles given out. We were at football games, increase the number of Uber discounts that are given out. So even things like little achievements, like increasing all of that. Obviously, there are some big points on our platform that I would love to accomplish, but just knowing that I could even make one student's experience better here at Carolina would be a success for me. So.
And what drove you to campaign for this position in the first place?
Absolutely, yeah. If I'm being honest, if you asked my freshman year self if I would be sitting here right now, they probably would not believe you. I really think through my past leadership experience, my experience here at Carolina, this university has shaped me in so many ways. I would truly not be the person or leader I am today without the people around me, without the organizations, the experience I've had. So for me, it was, I believe I have the skills, I have the ideas, I have the support around me and people believing in me that we can make effective change, again, not by myself, but with a group effort and a supportive team. I truly, truly care about this university more than I could probably put into words, and believe that there are things we can do to make the experience better here for students and to better Carolina. And I think that opportunity just means the world to me, to be sitting here and be encouraging people and sharing my ideas with all of the student body.
And how do you feel your past work in student government has prepared you for if you were to become president?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, I've been in student government all 3 years. So since my freshman year, it was one of the first organizations I joined. I was in freshman council, where you really just kind of get a taste of what everything is like. Then I worked as the assistant director of programming and deputy chief of staff to the student body vice president. And then this year I'm chief of staff to the student body vice president. So like I said, like having those, that programming, that communication background, we do a lot of outreach. I think that has prepared me with relationships within student government, relationships with administration, but most importantly, again, that face-to-face student interaction that I've gotten through programming events. Last year, we started a new initiative called Carolina Civility that was done between both myself and the chief advisor at the time, and we wanted to promote civil discourse across campus, given that it was an election year, and really teach students that skill. I learned a lot through kind of starting an idea for that event and then seeing it all the way through. I also think something unique about my experience in student government is that being a student body president, you have to be able to support the entirety of student government. And so having that experience in the vice president's branch, sitting in on Senate sessions, now running with someone running for student body treasurer for a second term, I think I have that holistic view of student government that would prepare me as president to support not only my branch, but every branch in the organization.
And what are some things, in your opinion, outside of just your involvement with student government that make you a good fit for this role?
Yeah, I think above all else, it's my passion for this university. Like that leadership experience is really important, but if there's anything I want students voting to know, it's that this is truly one of the biggest things I have cared about, and that I see so much potential for the future of this university. And so I think that just knowing that my heart is in this and that I will work day in and day out to make this a reality, my dedication, my persistence, I think those are all things that are needed in a candidate, and I can promise you that I absolutely have all of those, and I would be honored to have the role. So.
And how do you plan to engage with students who usually don't get involved in student government elections?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that that's a common thing that we've really tried to work on these past couple of years. We table on Green Street, so trying to, as annoying as it may seem, I know to the average student sometimes, really trying to interact with those students. I would love to see, we do a lot of organization outreach during the campaign period, and I know in the past that has been continued then through the academic year, where the student body president goes and does org outreach to hear from students. I think that face-to-face interaction is super important. So making sure that we continue these advocacy efforts not only during our campaign season, but then also through our term to hear that student feedback. I know that sometimes once we get into the positions, we can get caught up in just our organization. So making sure that we continue that outreach to other orgs and to other students. I've been trying my best to reach all students across campus. But yeah, just trying our best to encourage and talk to as many people as possible.
And then just my last question.
Yeah.
So you're running with Ashley Reynolds, who's
Yes.
running for treasurer. Normally people who run together run for president/vice president. So I was just wondering what's kind of the difference in the process of running with the treasurer, and how are the two of you working together to campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that me and Ashley are in a little bit of a unique situation. I think when deciding to do this, we're just two people who believe in each other very much. Ashley has done a fantastic job as student body treasurer, and there's truly no one better to do it for a second year. I think that while it's not the typical president, vice president, I think we've been able to offer each other a lot of insight, and I think hearing her ideas on the finance side, that is not something I'm familiar with. I'm looking to go to law school, so the business, the money, that is definitely not my strong suit, but I think that we have really helped each other in that aspect because she's been able to bring that perspective while I've been able to kind of bring in the advocacy perspective, and I think that that really encompasses, again, that working relationship between student government and trying to engage more cross-branch collaboration throughout the year, which we would absolutely continue to do. But I think that we've been able to give each other different perspectives that we haven't had before, which I think have made us even more qualified and will make us even more successful if we are to get the positions.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
My name is Rotondo. I'm running for student body president. I'm a junior here at Carolina in the Arelimar School of Business. I'm a risk management insurance major with a law and society minor. And I'm really happy to be here at Carolina. I love the school. I love the atmosphere, and I'm ready to step up to the plate and help Gamecocks in any way I can.
Okay. And could you tell us about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
Yes, of course. So our campaign platform is, and first of all, I'd just like to mention my running mate, Myron Harris. It's Rotondo Harris. We have known each other for a long time in student government and had a lot of the same goals. So we thought that by running together, we could, be that ticket to really get things done this year. And we are running on a 3-pillar system, which is safety, infrastructure, and the student experience. We think that those key areas are things that the university can get done now so that more tenable change can happen in the future. And I'm really excited to tell you about those 3 things.
Okay. If you want to go into a little more detail on that?
Sure. So the first pillar is safety. And we believe that you can't have any of the other things we want to advocate for without a safe campus. And that's physical safety, as well as the mental well-being of our students. As far as the physical safety goes, the University of South Carolina does not have an AED policy. An AED, being one of those things that restart your heart if you were to have a heart attack. And we have had conversations with housing. The director of housing is Dan Calacione. He wants to implement AEDs and CPR training for RAs, but he can't do so until the university has a policy because it opens housing up to liability issues. So we want to get that in place. Currently in student government, we're working to get more AED visibility. We're working with the department or the Office of Recreation to get CPR training for current students, because we think that when you have students in the classroom that can respond in case of an emergency, that's really good because seconds do count. And then as far as more safety on campus, lighting, it's a constant issue. We were at Kappa Kappa Gamma yesterday speaking to their chapter, and while we were waiting, we saw 4 lights out in the parking lot. And it was really dark, and it can be dangerous when you can't see where you're going or see who you're walking past. So we want to really make sure that Carolina is safe as possible. And then we have infrastructure. Infrastructure covers numerous different things, but the biggest concern that students have right now is parking. It's like the scary P word, but we really want to tackle it. So we have a plan to shift the way we reserve parking spots in a way that prioritizes sophomores and up for garage spaces, but still allows freshmen the opportunity to park here on campus. We want to expand surface lots so that if you're a student from Ohio or Kentucky, you can still bring your car, but you might not need it every day to get to and from class like upperclassmen do who live off campus. And then another big infrastructure thing that's coming up is housing. We are building new houses near where McBride is. It's getting demolished and we're building up. Same thing with honors. We're going to expand that. We want housing to be student-centric and have student input from the get-go so that in 5-10 years, we don't have to make all these big renovations. We get it right the first time. And we want there to be plenty of meeting spaces within those buildings so that students can collaborate. And then we have Russell House, which is a huge issue. That's a 2-part system as well. Right now, currently, we want to make it more ADA compliant and accessible. There are the handicap buttons that open the doors on the outside of the building, but there's not many inside. And students who just want to do routine tasks like use the bathroom can't do so if they're in a wheelchair or in crutches or have some sort of mobile disability. And we want Carolina to be accessible for everyone. And then in the future, we want to continue the ball rolling that Courtney Taxes began in getting a new Russell House. I'm in admissions, so I see firsthand that every year we have, the biggest applicant class in school history, but our population's increasing, but our infrastructure is not meeting that demand. So we really want to make sure that Russell House is somewhere where students can congregate. It's not just a dining hall. It's not somewhere they just go to get food, but somewhere they can really be a part of a community. And this all goes into the student experience, which is the third pillar. We want students' time here at Carolina to be the best it can possibly be. We're known for the best first-year experience, but I want us to be known for the best four-year experience. And part of that is, the little things. I'm sure a lot of students can attest. Sometimes parking just gets you. You might get a ticket. You made a little mistake, but instead of it being a negative experience, we want to make it into a positive. So that's where our Food for Fines initiative comes from. Paying part of your ticket in canned items that would go to community shop. It, teaches you to be more mindful of your parking choices, but also it gives back to the community. Other things we want to do is a syllabi database where if you're taking a class, you want to know what that class is going to look like. Is it project oriented or is it test heavy? Knowing what your class is going to look like before you register allows you to have more success with it.
And how do you plan to implement some of these things that you want?
Absolutely. So like I was saying with the AEDs, we are already working with university administration to implement them. We have looked at a lot of research done by some members of the RHA. Chandler Daly did a really good paper that found that out of 27 buildings surveyed, only 7 had readily accessible AEDs, which means they could find it in 5 minutes or less. And Columbia actually just invested in 300 AEDs to be in first responder vehicles. So we want to take the research that those people have done and the methods of implementation that they've done and bring it to Carolina and show administration that this is a real concern and that we can be preventative instead of reactive with these different safety initiatives. As far as infrastructure, I've read through the entire external review of the Russell House expansion plan, and I really do see the need to improve that space now and in the future. The workers there are absolutely amazing. One of them is Spencer. You probably see him at the front desk, and he's a whiz in everything tech and setting up the TVs and all that stuff. But they're really stretched thin. They're doing a great job, but they're stretched so thin that they don't have the support that they need. So I want to also support student employees who work in Russell House as well, so that they can do the best work they possibly can without being stretched too thin. They're students, first and foremost. So we want to make sure they're able to do that too. And then housing initiatives, construction. I'm not an expert in housing. I mean, I'm a student, I'm a business student, but I want to go to the people who are. So working with RHA is going to be really important in that, and having that collaborative environment is going to be paramount to getting these things actually done. And that goes along with everything we want to do. Recognizing that I might not have all the answers to everything. Student government might not have all the answers, but partnering with the people who do gets us the best result possible.
And how does your campaign differ from your opponents?
Of course. So my campaign, what we've done in building our support, and it's been absolutely amazing to see the people come out to support us. We are representative of the entire Carolina community. We have 148 dedicated, motivated students who really see the benefit in all these things we're talking about doing. And the other thing is that my philosophy for leadership and how I'm running the campaign and how Myron and I will help run student government is that it's not about us. It's not about the president and the vice president. It's about all those other people who are behind the scenes helping. I always go back to this example of the Carolina Band. It's Saturday in South Carolina. You're hearing the mighty sound of the Southeast, but you see the conductor, telling them what to do and instructing them and leading them, but you hear the band. And we really want students to be able to hear the band, which is our campaign in today, and then cabinet, staff, vice presidents, staff, Senate, all the student government. And we really want all of the student body to be heard. So I think that's what really differentiates us in the support and method that we're bringing to students.
And what, in your opinion, do you believe makes you qualified for this position? Well,
so since freshman year, I've held a couple different positions within student government. I started off as historian, which is the position itself almost is like a glorified note taker, but patent buyers really let me break out of my shell in that role. So I am one of 3 people who has attended both president's staff and cabinet, besides the president and the chief of staff. And this is my freshman and sophomore year. And it really allowed me to take time to listen and see what works, see what doesn't, hear about all the initiatives that we've been doing. And that culminated with me writing the President's Transition Manual, which is basically how to be the University of South Carolina Student Body President 101. So I feel the fact that I've authored that, the one that Courtney Tax is currently using, gives me a lot of insight into how the role works. I got to apply my skills that I learned as historian in my current role as Chief of Staff. So I'm the Student Body President's Chief of Staff, which means I'm the second in line for the President's branch. And I have been able to get my hands dirty with all the different initiatives that our cabinet and staff members have done. I have thoroughly enjoyed watching them grow. And it is really rewarding when you work with a member of the president's branch and they have an idea in their head and you get to help them make that idea a reality and hear student feedback of how they liked it. So I think that the natural next step is being able to take on that president's role. And it's the same thing I've been doing for years. I'm not going to change in the president's position. I'm the same Cole that I was when I was a historian. I was the same Cole as I was when I wasn't in student government. I want to be the person that can lead these young leaders to do the great things that they can do. And I want students to be able to see the work that they do. So highlighting them is going to be very important.
And then how do you plan to engage with students who usually don't vote in student government elections?
Absolutely. The biggest thing is meeting students where they are at. Us students, we're busy. We have class, we have organizations that we attend. Many people are in Greek life. We just have a lot going on. Life happens. So we should not expect students to have to come to us when they need something. Instead, we want to go to them. So we are doing several org visits. I mentioned KKG, but we are doing a bunch in the Greek organizations, professional fraternities, and club sports teams, anywhere where students are congregating. And we don't want that to be the only time that they see us. We don't want to say, hey, vote for us, and then they never see us again. We want to come back. And that's what we've been telling all of them. Here's our platform. Here's why you should vote for us. Here's why we're going to come back. And meeting students where they're at is so important because when you do, it's like, oh, here's student government. Let me express my concerns instead of them having to fit their schedule around us.
And what does success look like at the end of your term?
Success looks like 2 things. First of all, it looks like making sure we get tenable current goals for those 3 pillars that I discussed, among other things, because obviously you can't say everything you want to do in just 3 pillars, but it also looks like rolling the ball forward for the next student body president. You can't do everything in 1 year. It's not realistic. And I'm not going to tell students that I can fix all their problems, but because I can't. I can definitely help push the ball forward and make their lives a little better than it was yesterday. And I will absolutely fight every day to do that. But it's really setting up the next administration to continue to do the good work. And that's what's been done for student governments of the past, from Emilee Thompson to patent buyers to Courtney Tax, and now hopefully to myself. And it's the same thing for Myron. We want the younger students within student government and the student body to be hopeful for Carolina that they can one day see and really appreciate.
Question, what drove you to campaign for this position in the first place?
So at first I would never think that I would be in this position in the first place. It was actually patent buyers who encouraged me to run when around this time last year. He basically pulled me into his office and he said, "You're so passionate about student government. You're so passionate about our students. You devote all this time to learning about the president's branch and how we can best advocate for every Carolinian. So why don't you run?" And at first, self-doubt came in. I was like, how do I know I'm the person to do this? I'm from Pennsylvania. Why would a South Carolinian relate to me? And as I thought about it and as I, kind of mulled over the decision, I thought about every student that I did want to help. And I think I would be remiss if I didn't go for this position and try to be the best candidate I can and the best student body president I can for all those people. I truly do consider myself a Carolinian. This state and this community has taken me in as one of their own, and I am forever grateful for that. It is the same thing for my running mate, Myron. I just know he is that leader that the leader that students need. He is an absolute light in student government and in this student body. And, I think us together can really bring a positive change to the university and brighten the image that students have of student government, because we want to be a partner with students. We want to be there for them. We want them to be able to come to us and us to come to them, because two people cannot be representative of 40,000 students. So the more input we can get and the more partnerships we can make, the better this university will be.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, I think that.
Well, I think everybody's pretty familiar with who I am, but yeah, I'll of course run through it again. So I'm Jacob Whisenant. I'm a PhD student, and I am running for student body president.
Perfect. And could you tell us a little bit about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
So my campaign goals are pretty simple. I'm running on I'm running on stopping SG from increasing the fee hikes. So in the past years, SG always runs on transparency, they run on accountability, they run on affordability, but they get in and then they do the exact opposite. So right now, student government is pushing fee hikes, and we've seen it. Students have seen it when they pay for their self-service bills. They see it with their tuition, they see it with their parking, they see it with their housing, they see it with their food. So I'm going to be a voice for students that want to have a more affordable college experience. So my biggest campaign point is I will be advocating for the students to stop the unnecessary fee hikes, as well as I will be reinstating the support for student organizations. This university advertises itself as the best #1 first-year experience. And that's made in large part due to all the great student organizations we have on campus. We have 700-something student organizations on campus, but every single year, without fail, student government blames our student organizations for the lack of funding. Student government, they'll run out of money, and then they'll blame students because they're not paying enough. So a student government's idea to fix this was, how about we defund student organizations? How about we add more barriers to entry for student orgs to be able to access their funding, and then tell them that they owe student government more money? So that's something I will be doing. I will be pushing to dismantle this discriminatory partial funding system that's been imposed on every single student organization on this campus, so that any student organization can have whatever events they want with the money that they've already put into the university. As well as we are all tired of student government running on campaign promises. They promise us the world, and then they deliver on nothing. So I will be making student government work for you, because as of right now, student government will get in there, they'll forget about the student body, they'll blame the student body for the lack of funding, they'll blame the student body for not showing up for the votes. But I mean, it's pretty obvious why they're not showing up for the votes, because student government is not showing up for them. So I will be making student government work for students.
And kind of piggybacking on that, how does your platform that you're running on differ from your opponents and what they're running for?
Ooh, that's a great question. So my platform is the only non-SG platform, and my platform is called Common Sense Carolina. And the big difference between my platform and my opponent's platform is my platform has ideas from the students. Students don't want college to be more expensive. Students want student government to work for them. Students want to have the events that they want to have on campus. And all my opponents, if you notice their 3 pillars, the things that they run on, it's not actually their ideas. It was handed down to them by the university administration through a 10-year plan called USC Next. And student government will promote, and they say, well, we want transparency for the student body, yet this 10-year plan, they have not sent out to the student body. Students don't know about it, and they're going to hitchhike on things that the university already has in motion as a way to get in and then preserve their seats and their power. So the big difference here is my ticket, my campaign is for students, and their ticket is for the administration.
Okay. And if you were to be elected, what would a successful term at the end look like for you?
A successful term is pretty simple. Right now we have a dysfunctional, unorganized student government. And if I were to win, I will be putting students first. And the best way to put students first is student government should not be a game. It should not be a game that only rich students can play in. Because when I get in, I will be putting students first day one, because as the president, I will not be accepting the presidential stipend. The full presidential stipend will be given to students in need on this campus, to the food pantries, because no student here should have to go hungry. As well as, no student will be paying more fees. The student generates $2 billion annually, the activity fee generates $5.2 million, and the activity fee, student government promotes it as, this is an activity fee, and then, as the name suggests, is for student activities. But if you ask any student from this activity fee that you and I pay every single semester, what percentage of this activity fee actually goes to student orgs? This activity fee generates $5.2 million annually. So you would assume a fee designed to support student orgs would do just that. But only 3.6% goes to the student organizations here on this campus, and then student government, year after year after year, will blame the students for the lack of funding when they themselves are siphoning off majority of this money. 96% of it is going to student government, and it's going to the bureaucracy. So I don't think it is a funding problem. I think it is an accountability and an allocation problem.
Okay. And what specifically, I know you touched on this a little bit, but what specifically drove you to campaign for this position? To campaign for the position of president, through my term within student government, I was very vocal to students. I would ask questions. I even had a direct line of communication, because as in the Treasurer's branch, I had a list of all the student organizations. So if student organizations had any grievances, had any issues, it was a direct line. Because right now, student government does this thing where they say, we want transparency, but then they'll give you the loop around. You send them an email, and then they'll just bounce it back and forth, and you get no answer. So when I was in student government, day one, I had this nice list, transparency, direct lines of communication to the student body, yet the administration, student executives, and student senators all brought the hammer down and threatened to impeach me should I not delete this chat, because they didn't want direct lines of communication. They don't want feedback. The feedback makes them uncomfortable. They just want their own little club where they can do whatever it is that they want, regardless of what the student body feels, and then they complain every single election cycle that nobody shows up, and nobody shows up because the student government doesn't show up for them. So, yeah. So what do you believe specifically makes you qualified for this position?
Yes, so I'm qualified for the position simply because the university president here at USC is an engineer. I myself am also an engineer, and one of the things engineers are really good at is problem solving. We need more problem solvers here on this campus because there is no shortage of problems, and there is no shortage of problem makers. And I think student government is a problem maker. We should be fixing problems. Student government, as the name suggests, student government. We should be putting students actually first instead of getting in, ignoring campaign promises, and doing this very funny word that they always say, if you join student government, you'll hear this too if you want to actually fulfill your campaign promises. They'll say this word, pivot. I don't think we should pivot when it comes to what the students need. I think we should actually do what the students need, advocate for the students, and should somebody give pushback, I think that should be stated on the floor. I think student government should have greater ties to DG. I think they should be more transparent and more open when it comes to the inner workings of student government. And yeah, I think that pretty much sums up that question.
Yep. So you had mentioned not all students voting. How do you plan to engage with students who don't usually vote in student government elections?
Well, first off, we need to show students that student government has an impact. Because right now, if you ask students who their student senator is, they don't know. If you ask them who is the Speaker of the Senate, they don't know. If you ask them who the student body president is, they don't know, because these individuals don't show up. They don't. There is no there is no connection between the students and student government. So the way we will bring students to the polls is to show them that student government is working for them. We have 50 senator seats in Senate, yet this last semester, almost 50% of the student senators did absolutely nothing.
They ran on promises. They promised us the world. They said they were going to do all these grand things, but then they get in there and half of them don't show up, and then the other half that show up, they do nothing. So if we want students to actually engage with student government, we need to have a student government that is willing to engage with students.
So kind of on that, how did your experience in the Senate impact your approach to this campaign this year?
So my experience in the Senate, I got to see the inner workings of Senate, which most students do not get to see. I got to see how student government will say they want diversity of opinion, they want to hear voices, they want to have back and forth, but yet when student senators get into this role and they want to have that back and forth conversation on the floor and they want to have differing opinions, they bring the hammer down. Every single student senator to date, if they are to question an executive or want to do a debate, after the fact, they're brought into a room in the LSC where administrators and student executives basically reprimand them and tell them, hey, why can't we have that conversation here? Why does it have to be out there? And my answer to that is, well, every single one of you guys said we want transparency. How can we have transparency if we can't even ask simple questions on the floor? And you wonder why no students show up, because there is no dialogue, there is no debate, there is no back and forth on ideas. It's just a student government that shows up and basically claps every piece of legislation that gets passed and then adjourns. So if we want students to show up, we need to show students that we're willing to work for them.
Okay. And the last question I have for you is, how do you feel about running alone versus candidates who are running with a running mate?
Oh, well, I'm not running alone. I have a ticket. So my ticket is Common Sense Carolina. So I'm the presidential candidate on this ticket, as well as we have senatorial candidates for different colleges as well. So I don't think there's an issue of me running per se alone, because I have the voice of the student body behind me. They don't want the fee hikes. They don't want, it's like they say we want to have improved parking. Well, why didn't they do that? They say they want to lower the cost. Well, why didn't they do that? Everything that they have said, everybody that's running besides me is currently in student government. So the question the student should be asking is, why didn't you already do that? Why are you waiting now to make these promises? Is it because you're afraid you might not get back in? That's why you're willing to make these promises now? Because I think it just doesn't make any sense why students have to put up with a student government that's not willing to work for them. And as the president, I will be a problem solver.
Okay, thank you. That's all we have for you.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Jordan. I'm the student body presidential candidate.
It's nice to meet you, Jordan.
You as well.
Can I ask you a couple questions about your candidacy, if you don't mind if we get started?
Let's do it.
First off, could you tell us about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
Yes. Okay, so our campaign goals, we actually have 3 goals, which include parking, cockpit, and Greek life. We definitely want to put an emphasis on that, and I think that's kind of where my campaign stands out compared to the others, is because my campaign staff, except my vice president, they are all not in student government. So this is actually voices from students that support these issues. So
I know that's a big thing for people. I know a lot of voters are people in student government, so I'm
Right.
sure that'll help having that as an ideal.
Yes.
Next, how do you realistically plan to implement your campaign promises?
Yes, I think our basis of our arguments is things that are things we can actually accomplish, and I wouldn't choose issues that I couldn't do. What's the saying? Don't run if you can't win. So I think cockpit especially is a big one for our sports fans and all students in particular, raising the points from 10 to 25% following year when they roll over. But also getting a point if you vote in the student government election.
That's good.
We've definitely seen like only 3,000 students vote, and then they complain, and it's like, that doesn't make sense. So getting more students voting is definitely a thing we want to do and increase civility there. And also Greek life. Our Greeks are very underrepresented. We see that they're skyrocketing, recruitment is skyrocketing each year. So we definitely want to make sure that our target is them and making sure they're highlighted in that.
I like it. I like it. Solid basis. Yeah. Next, how does your platform differ from your opponents in all regards?
Yes, like I said earlier, it's directed towards students. So it's not simple points or simple phrases according to each issue they have. These are things that actually get their attention. Cockpit, it screams cockpit. Greek life screams Greek life. Parking screams parking. These are actually issues that we can accomplish once we get in office.
It's good to set realistic goals. You don't want to overextend. I like that. Yes. I like that. What would your success look like at the end of your term? What would you be most proud of, and just overall goals by the end of your term to accomplish?
Yes, I think what really makes a good president is issues that can continue after I'm gone, when I become president. Like you say, from Pat Byers, student body president last year, you have Uber discounts continuing, Zipcar adding this year, things continuing as you go. That's really what a real leader is, and I intend to keep that going once these things are implemented. Parking, sadly, will always be a problem, but there's different ways that you can approach it to help benefit students. Greek life, there's always something you can do to improve Greek life. Same thing with cockpit. There's always something you can work with athletics and students on to increase that.
I like that. Being a big athletic school, I'm sure that's important to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Even temporary mitigation, if that can serve as a building block, then that's a solid way to get started.
We're still growing.
Absolutely, absolutely. What drove you to campaign for this position?
That's a great question. Well, after sitting down with past presidential candidates, it was pretty clear I'm a guy of faith. So having those type of conversations, it only made sense to do it when you just have that feeling that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But also, along with the talks I've had, they've been very beneficial in prepping me for something like this. I don't think you go into something unprepared. And so I think those conversations, along with seeking guidance from Jesus Christ, I think this is something that I meant to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm sure that'll resonate with a lot of people here as well.
Absolutely.
Big thing you touched on earlier, a lot of people that vote in student government elections are people within student government or highly educated in the topic. What is your goal and kind of idea for how to engage students that aren't typically familiar with the voting process?
I'm glad you brought that up, John. You're great. I think what's important is to recognize that undergraduate students aren't the only people who vote. You have graduate students, you have pharmacy students, you have law school students. This weekend, I was putting up posters in the law school. These are people who don't get a say and don't get a voice because no one reaches out to them. And that's what I made prime in my campaign, is reaching out to those people, getting them to vote. You have a say, you have a duty here. And of course, emphasizing our cockpit idea is definitely something I think will get them more engaged in that.
I like it. You got some solid principles. Yes. To the audience, what's one thing about Jordan Cooper that you want voters to know before they enter election time?
That's a great question. I think what I want them to know is I'm a student too. I'm not someone who thinks of myself higher than anyone. I'm a student too. I have things at this university that I want to, increase or make better. And that's really our campaign motto, is sharpening our spurs. So our spurs, yes, spurs up, but at the same time, there's stuff we can do to make it better. And I think recognizing that I have ideas as well, but also bringing their ideas in with mine and combining that to make this university better and to sharpen our spurs.
I love it. Sharpening our spurs. That's solid. That'll be sticking in my head for sure.
Yeah, awesome.
It's been a pleasure.
That's the job. Thank you so much.
Best of luck, Jordan.
Thank you.
I'm Bradley Gittens, senior theater major, and I'm running for student body president.
Awesome. Starting off, could you just tell us about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
My main campaign goals are just uplifting student voices. It's called the Uplift Ticket because I want more diverse people to join student government, even those from underrepresented fields. And they should expect me to have a very diverse cabinet staff and even like senators. I've been a real big advocate for getting diverse senators as well.
Great. How do you realistically plan to implement your campaign promises?
My issue currently with student government is that it's not the outreach that's the problem. It's how we're utilizing student government. Are we utilizing student government to its fullest potential? of also taking accountability and also making our presence known, but also explaining what we do. A lot of people really don't care about student government, and obviously I expect that, I expect people that outside of org to not care about the org that I'm in, but I want people to care about the student government that's making most of the laws and making most of the legislation that directly affects student lives.
Great. How does your platform differ from your opponents?
I say my opponents' platforms are more based on infrastructure and just like what necessarily what they plan on doing. But my campaign, from what I've seen, is the only one that's based on diversity and actually using the student voices to make changes. Obviously, as student body president, I would be a representative of the university, and I would be making like big headlines and big changes, but I really want to make sure that the power comes from the people beneath me.
Great. What does success look like at the end of your term if you were elected?
At the end of my term, I hope that student government is full of people that maybe haven't been in student government, half maybe have been in FROCO. A lot of times I see just people that join FROCO and then they just stay in student government, and then it becomes this cycle, this generational cycle of I want you to be chief of staff of my cabinet, and then you could be student body president next one. I feel like oftentimes a lot of people are planning for the years to be, I want this position, I want this position. I'm calculating to suck up to this person just so I can be in this position, when in fact stuff like student body president should be elected by the students. Now obviously, of course, I'm not discounting my opponent's experience at all, and I believe that those experiences are valuable, but I also value student voices being heard and students being truly students first.
All right, and FROCO is freshman council, right?
Freshman council for student government.
All right. What drove you to campaign for this position?
I'm gonna be real. I realistically, for myself, I don't see myself winning, but I want to at least be an inspiration for people that maybe don't believe that they have it in them. I want to kind of be a martyr, like a figurative martyr, and I want people, everyone beneath me, everyone that's running with me, to be the ones that make the change. My duty is not to make student government my own, but instead to leave behind a legacy that goes on past my graduation.
Awesome. What, in your opinion, do you believe makes you qualified for this position?
I believe I'm qualified for a position because I haven't had much experience being in student government, so I haven't drank the Kool-Aid since freshman year or sophomore year. I simply just am a regular student, and obviously I joined student government from last year, but being in my position, I also realized that like the people above me also don't particularly care for transfer students. Specifically, I was told that by the president of the university. And it's not that they don't care, it's just that it's not one of their priorities. And I really feel that student government, just look at the demographics of it, needs to be representative of the entire student body, not just the people that have the ins.
Awesome. How do you plan to engage with students who usually don't vote in student government elections?
I plan on just connecting them on a personal level. I think that problem is that during campaigns is that we only advertise related to the Russell House and just kind of passerbys, like people that don't care, they just are like, okay, I have 2 minutes of time, so I guess I'll vote for you, versus actually learning about the candidates, learning about what they stand for. And that's why I also feel like campaigning in other colleges, maybe not outside of Russell House, maybe we could be in Darla Moore, School of Music, because everyone has their unique perspectives on student government, how the university should be run. And I believe I would be doing disservice by discrediting those people as well. And you know, obviously social media is really big these days, so of course, kind of like it ends up becoming a popularity contest. The people that are very popular and have a lot of followers will end up with more people repost their stuff, and then you might have like very vocal friends that love to just support you in any way. So it's definitely going to be hard. I don't expect like obviously a full student body to actually vote, or even like vote and also do their own research. But I believe that I can at least get some people that maybe didn't vote to consider.
And this is more of a personal question for you. How did your experience running for student government last year shape your campaign this year?
It shaped my campaign because it definitely like opened my eyes to a few things. I'll say that as people may or may not know, I ran kind of like the only clean campaign of last year. A lot of election violations, election frauds, cases, constitutional council cases. It was just, I can't say the word right now, but it was a show. That's what I could say. But I honestly realized like I just want this just to be a very civil campaign. I don't want this to be like just a lot of accusations where like even the cops have to come. I just want everything to be fair, and that's what I feel like. Hopefully today or this year it's going to be better, which it's been promising so far.
All right, and last but not least, how do you feel about running alone versus your other candidates who have running mates?
I never feel like I'm alone. I feel like I have the expectations of the students on my back. I ran with some senators as well. I want the student body to choose who they want. I don't want to be voted in because I'm just super popular and I'm the loudest campaign. I don't want to have all these t-shirts, have all these stickers. I just want to know people on a personal level. I want to know each and all their experiences. To me, student voices aren't just a number. I don't want the majority. I want to also talk about the not vocal minority as well. And I believe that learning those personal experiences, learning everything is more valuable to me than just necessarily throwing a wide net and then having a majority.
Awesome. That's all we have.
Thank you.
My name is Myron Harris, and I'm running for student body vice president.
All right, and then your year and your major, and if you have any minors?
Yeah. I am a junior studying criminal justice with the minor in law and society.
Okay. And then could you just tell us a little bit about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
Yeah. So the Rotondo Harris campaign is 3 essential platforms that we're running on: safety, infrastructure, and student experience. And I know hearing that, you're probably going to think, oh, the buzzwords everyone throws around to say because they want to win a campaign. No. Under those buzzwords, we have 3 to 4 main initiatives for each of them. What I want students to expect are tangible changes that they see on campus, whether that be for CPR training, for RAs and orientation leaders and anyone else that needs it, establish AED policy, increase lighting for places even just like the Horseshoe. It's nice in the morning, but at night it's a very scary place for some people. And then the student experience, knowing what type of class you're gonna take and knowing what assignment you're gonna have in that class is extremely important for students to succeed in their day-to-day life, which is why we're also advocating for syllabi transparency.
Okay. And how do you realistically plan to implement your campaign promises?
I love this question because you said realistically, and I feel like sometimes people try to just throw out some initiatives because it sounds great and dandy. I think Cole might have touched on this as well. I think the most realistic thing that you can do is not only research, but meet with the people who are more knowledgeable than you on these topics. I know I'm not the go-to guy for syllabi or for lighting on campus, but who do we have? We have the provost. We have people who've worked with the lighting on campus. We have USCPD. Those people and administration are the ones who have the knowledge, who have the know-how, and are willing to support students. I think we just have to be active in going to get them.
And then how does your platform differ from your opponents?
I think our platform differs from our opponents because it was built on essential student feedback. Like I said earlier, they weren't just buzzwords we pulled out of the air because people expect to hear them. Safety came straight from someone on our campaign. She said she felt unsafe walking to Greek Village from Russell House because there's no lighting on the streets. Some lights are out. Boom, we put it down. In regards to student experience, another thing that we're advocating for is stronger academic and career advising. I have many friends, and I don't know if you've experienced this yourself. Sometimes the advisors aren't really up to date on their knowledge about colleges, or they're not really up to date on some career paths. That's fine. It's totally understandable, but we need to advocate for stronger. They need to be stronger because our students are relying on them. And then last but not least, infrastructure. Everyone wants to talk about it, but more green space. Let's be honest, I like sitting outside. I love sitting, having a nice time outside. Even today's a beautiful day. Being able to sit outside and enjoy yourself with your classmates and fellow peers on this campus is essential not only for your mental health, but for your well-being. So all these things we've heard from students themselves, even me, some of these things I was like, oh, I would love to see this on campus. I would love to see this happen. So that's what I think it differs. We got it straight from the students.
And then you've been mentioning research and whatnot, so just if you could give me a brief overview of like where exactly are you getting your research from and how are you compiling it to help with your campaign?
Like I said, I'm not the foremost expert on a lot of the things that we have going on around campus, but one of the things that we did get in-depth research on, it was a research proposal by Chandler Daly from RHA. It was all about the AED policy. That's the first thing we got it from. The second thing we got it from actual student experience. I think one thing that's kind of discounted when people are running for election sometimes, they're the actual student stories that go along with the problems. There's a reason it's a problem, there are solutions to the problem, and they may have the solutions, you may not. So the personal student experience, and then going off that, the Russell House expansion, there was an external review done on the Russell House, and everything that everyone thought was bad about the Russell House, it was feedback from multiple people, that's all in there. And even the university itself, they have a USC Next guide that's going, I believe it's going to 2034, I believe. We use that as a catalyst as well to building some of our platform points.
Okay. And what would success look like at the end of your term?
Success would look like tangible change. I think you kind of touched on it with your second question, I believe was realistic, like what can be, what's some realistic changes we want to see? We want to see these things implemented not 5 years from now, not 3 years from now, when our term is up. Some of these things are easy things that we can do. We just have to push and advocate for them. And we need to do the research that qualifies for them. The AED policy, I think working with administration and building up upon what Chandler Daly and RHA is already advocating for, boom, that could be done. CPR training for RAs, orientation leaders, and anyone that wants them. When minutes matter and they can save lives, who wouldn't want to have that training? Lights on campus. USCPD has been an open and active partner with student government, and they'll be willing to help us put these lights up, get blue lights back up, like get safety going. I think there are many avenues in which we can achieve this and have success, but I think it needs to be tangible. It needs to be something that students see so they don't feel like they're just buying into an idea. They're seeing the effects on their campus.
And what drove you to campaign for this position in the first place?
So it was never on my radar to be vice president. I was always one of those people who's like, oh, like I don't know if I wanted to do that. I don't know if that'd fit my niche. Cole actually reached out to me about it, and he wanted to hear my thoughts on it. And I could tell I was just not, like, I didn't take it seriously at first. I just didn't think I ever saw myself in that position. And I think he can tell too, I came up with the lamest excuse on why I didn't want to run. I was like, oh, I can't make graphics. Like, I said that, he looked at me like, he was like, are you serious? Like, that's your only reason not for wanting to do it. And then when he actually sat down with me and he related the experience that I've had from student government freshman year, from freshman council to cabinet, and even now as director of outreach, he really emphasized that each of these positions has built up to help me elevate and transform my skills to being this. But to get to why I ended up campaigning for this in the first place, it's actually because of Cole. He was the one who saw the potential in me and wanted me to build upon that. Because he's seen my love for the university. I love tabling, I love doing outreach, I love meeting people where they are and going to them if they have any problems. I'm also a yapper, kind of like what I'm doing now. But yeah. Cole's the reason I'm campaigning for this. And the students at this university who have joined my team or texted me and believed in me since the beginning of all this.
And what, in your opinion, do you believe makes you qualified for this position?
Well, I kind of touched upon it a little bit with my last answer. I've been in student government for 3 years, not to say being in student government is the end all be all, but in freshman council, I kind of learned a little bit about how student government works, the processes in which it works. And then I transitioned to cabinet as Secretary of Liberties and Representation, where I was able to put tangible things in motion and see the actual initiatives that I want to do come to life. And then after that, I'm in my current role now as Director of Outreach. Director of Outreach is a combination of both my freshman year and my sophomore year, but what it's about is going to students, getting their feedback, and bringing it back. I think one thing that's missing sometimes from any institution or any administration is that sometimes the feedback aspect is lost. We want engagement, but we never really look at the feedback as much as we should. We never really build upon it because it's like, okay, like everyone has problems, but I think one of the things that makes me a good candidate in this regard is I'm not only open and accessible, I think, and many people who've known me and who are watching this will say I'm an active listener. I genuinely want to hear your stories. I want to hear the problems you have, and I want to hear if you have any solutions to them, like who else has experienced them. And I think that's something to build upon whenever I hopefully become vice president.
And how do you plan to engage with students who usually don't vote in student government elections?
I think one reason there's members of the student community who don't engage in student government elections is quite frankly because they're busy. I think it's irresponsible to think that they're not engaging because they don't want to engage, because some people have part-time jobs, some people have lives outside of college, and that's totally understandable. I have a part-time job too. I think you have to meet them where they are and go to them. If I'm someone who's running on having open and accessible and transparent communication, I don't think that means, hey, you come to me, like I shouldn't go to you. No, I think that means if you tell me you have a meeting this time and this day, but you can't make any other meeting, okay, let me come to your meeting. I'll speak to you and all the members of your organization. If you want to meet in Russell House a random day, I'll go talk to you. If you're only in humanities, I'll go talk to you there. I think one of the things that you miss with engagement sometimes, because you're thinking about the total majority, is you miss that one-on-one personal connection. Sometimes one person's engagement is worth 20. Because if you can get one thoughtful response that outweighs the 20 yes or no's and the in-between answers, that's something that's way more important than just having a total majority of engagement.
And then just my last question. So part of your campaign is you're running with somebody else. Mm-hmm. How are the two of you working together in order to, not just for the sake of getting elected, but like the things that you want to achieve if you do become president and vice president? How are you kind of getting the ball rolling with that now, working together?
So I think one of the main things that is interesting about me and Cole, and I think you'll see it in the coming days, whether it be through tabling or in the debate or anything like that, we balance each other extremely well. He's someone who is very much a natural leader. He's someone who is able to be very grounded and able to be there with all the analysis in the world. And I'm someone who's passionate. I'm very outgoing. Like I can talk to a brick wall for hours and hours. I think those two skill sets, and I think owning that we have those two skill sets and not trying to overcompensate in other areas is exactly why we'll be so successful as a duo. I acknowledge that his skills in some administrative tasks are better than mine, and he acknowledges that I may be better at outreach. That's fine. I think having that and building upon that is exactly what makes successful candidates. I think even when we were tabling out there the day for our first tabling today, I was going around, making sure everyone was good. I was hitting every piece that I could. And Cole, what was he doing? He was answering every question he could. He is someone who has never shied away from answering the hard questions. He is someone who has never shied away from being wrong, because let's be honest, we're all gonna be wrong, we're humans. And if you're not wrong, then you're God.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Connor. Honestly, it has been a great day, and honestly, I'm just smiling throughout this whole process, to be honest with you.
Cool. I mean, it's really exciting for you. I can't imagine. Yeah, so I guess I'll just kind of start off here. Could you kind of just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, sir. So I've been a local Columbia guy for my entire life. I live about 20 minutes from here over in Irmo, South Carolina. And when you talk about a Gamecock fan, I think I would like to say that I'm a pretty big one. I've been going to Carolina football games almost my entire life. And of course, with the assistance of my little chicken hat over here, I've been known as the chicken hat guy. And that could not be a more happier moment for me, is seeing that Instagram post come up. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's awesome.
I'm sure. I saw that post. I thought it was awesome.
It was one of the coolest things in the world. But yeah, there's a little bit about me. And I'm actually, a cool fun fact I always like to say, I'm a certified welder. Back in high school, I had a cool opportunity to take, it was a place called the Kate Center. Great place. You could take firefighting classes, electrical engineering. And I took the welding class, and I got certified up to 6G, which is pipe welding.
Wow.
And it was just a cool opportunity for me. That's actually the business that I run right now.
That's awesome.
Handyman and welding service.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for telling me that. That's really
100%.
cool. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I'll kind of start off. Could you just tell us like a little bit about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win the election?
Yes. So the biggest thing that we've had to say since the beginning is we're here for students. I love being in a suit and tie. I love being all official, but that's not what we're here to do. We're here representing 42,000 people. That's a lot of people. And we want to be a representative of that. We want to talk to those different people, talk to those orgs, and talk to people like yourself and represent you. And the way we're doing that is we're going very practical with our issues. It comes down to three main things. The first, everyone loves parking, but we actually have a genuine, logical way, not just saying, we're going to fix parking. We have a genuine way of doing that. The second is a revised cockpit system, an easier way to go about ordering tickets and actually seeing where you place when it comes to game days. And then the third is actually for my fellow fraternity brothers and sisters and sorority sisters, is a revised Greek week. And I can dive into each one of those if you'd like, but otherwise we might be here for about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
All good. I think that's awesome that you guys have a clear plan laid out for your campaign. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Okay, so, and I guess you can kind of go into like a little bit about parking here. How do you like realistically plan to implement your campaign priorities?
Yes, so the biggest thing that you can do to prioritize in this position is talking to the right people. We are put in a phenomenal position to have meetings with the president, to have meetings with staff, board of visitors, board of trustees. It is a phenomenal opportunity for each one of us to be connected to the right people to make it happen. I don't necessarily, what I say does not go. That's not how this works. It's an amazing opportunity for us to be connected to those who do have that power to say and to get things to happen. So the way that we would do this is by talking to those that own specifically Gamecock Park. And that's how I dive into this with parking, is that is empty besides 7 days of the year when we have football games. So what we'd like to do is to have you be able to park over there with some kind of parking pass. And we'd have a shuttle that goes straight from there to Russell House. You park there during the day, and it eliminates cars on campus while also giving those who don't have a ready parking spot on campus to have another option. We've got thousands of parking spots that aren't used. So that's where we were kind of like when coming up with this, why is that already a thing?
Yeah.
So the biggest way that we can do this is by talking to the right people, saying the right things, and also presenting it in a very open way. Not, this is what we're doing. It's a, hey, let's work together and find a solution that helps everyone.
Yeah, it's a process. I
Exactly.
like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. I love how you guys have a clear laid out plan. I think that's awesome.
Yes.
All right. So how does your platform differ from your opponents in the election?
Yes, so I believe I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. It has been a classic thing in student government where we're all trying to be very official. And I love that. I think it is an amazing opportunity for us to practice for what we want to do in the future. A lot of us are either political science majors. I personally am not. I'm marketing management and finance, but a lot of poli-sci, a lot of journalism, communications. We want to do this job. But the issue that it's come from that is it's been, once we get there, then that's it. There's no communication with students. There's no meeting with orgs anymore. It's you campaign, you get elected, and then you do your own thing.
Right.
I personally want to flip the script on that one. So far over the past 2 days, we've met with multiple sororities and a couple fraternities, and I've loved it. It's been a phenomenal opportunity to hear from them, whether it's questions, comments, concerns, but also present to say, this is what we're trying to do. And to see the reactions on their face, to see the questions that are asked, that's what we're supposed to do here at student government. It's to connect everybody into one big group to make the best Carolina we possibly can.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I can't imagine how cool it must be to just keep talking to these guys and seeing what they have to say. I can't imagine how cool that is.
It's phenomenal, phenomenal.
All right, so what would success look like at the end of your term?
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure that's a long list of things.
Really, success, it can really be boiled down to something very simple, is providing a level of impact with the same level that people have impacted me. This campaign has been fun. It's been an amazing experience, and we're only 4 days into it. But truly, my friendships, acquaintances, everything like that, it has been a blessing to have those people say, hey, I'm gonna vote for you, or what are your issues, or what's happening, and it is incredible, the passion people have for this university. And the only thing that I can do is give back with everything that I possibly can. And that is what I plan to do when we're in this administration.
Well said. I like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is kind of like a passion thing. What drove you to campaign for the vice president?
Yes, I kind of hit on it already, but it is truly, this has been my home.
Yeah.
This has been where I've grown up. My Saturdays in the fall were Carolina football. The spring times was Carolina basketball and baseball. This is my home. And I want to do everything in my power to make it better. And now that we have clear direction that we can do, and we have the opportunity to talk to these amazing people, anywhere from President Emeritus to the staff. I mean, Miss Emma, our staff for student government, she is wonderful. And I would love to shout out every single one of them if I had time to say about a list of 100 people. But it has been incredible the amount that people have poured into me and to Jordan, and I'd love to return that.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so what in your opinion do you believe makes you qualified to be vice president?
Yeah, so funny enough, I like to dive into this a little bit. At Boise State, I love that thing. Still am connected with a few of them here at USC. We had the opportunity to run for different governments and things like that. And you don't really have time to prove yourself. It's really just what you say. And they said a lot of people would go up there and say, well, I've done this, I've done this. Yeah, I got A's on all my exams, and my teachers like me because I'm the head football coordinator. And I was taught a very good lesson by my leader that you don't got to say why you're qualified. You just have to present it in the best way possible. Don't list off the things you've done. That's not how you prove that you're qualified. So I truly say I'm qualified from this is from my passion. It is from the level of effort and means that we've already gone to get this campaign where it is. And I truly, I mean, you can see the smile on my face. I really am passionate about this school and making it better. And yes, I want to leave an impact on it as it has left an impact on me, but I also want to give back. Right. It truly is that.
Just 4 days in, you guys are already rolling. That's awesome.
It is one of the most fun things I think I've ever done.
Wow.
Hey, you give me a free excuse to wear a chicken hat around campus. I mean, come on. Now, who would not take that opportunity?
I mean, I don't know. Who
I was going to say, we got to do the staple at least once. Still one of the most fun things about it.
That's awesome.
I know.
It's a great prop, too. I like
it. It's so much fun. So much fun.
Wearing that around all day must be awesome.
Oh, it is. A blessing, to say the least.
All right, so this is kind of the last thing I had here. So how do you, you kind of already touched on this, about your passion. How do you plan to engage with students who don't usually vote in student government elections?
Yes, so that is actually a big thing that I wanted to harp on. So one thing that I want to do as part of this administration, it's very practical. You got to give them a reason to vote. Right now, I see that the main people who vote are either involved in student government, directly on top of it, or friends associated with that group of people. And that's how you end up with 3,300 people voting out of 42,000. Now that reflects what the U.S. is, but I feel like we can do better. And the way we do it We have a currency, cockpit points. What if we offer cockpit points for voting? It gives you an incentive to want to go do it, and it gives you a reason to care about what's happening. Because, I mean, we saw it today on Green Street. We're passing out stuff. We're trying to be as kind as we can. People don't want to just, I mean, it's headphones in, heads down. Yeah. I'm on a phone call. Sorry, can't take that. Like, you don't want to engage with it because that's what everyone does. So I'd say we flip the script and make it where now they want to pay attention. You can't force someone to want to be involved with this.
Yeah.
So I think the best way we can do that is by offering up cockpit points.
Sure, so my name is Ashley Reynolds and I'm rerunning for Student Body Treasurer.
All right, and then what is your year and what's your major and if you have a minor?
So I'm a junior, so I'm a double major in risk management, insurance, and finance, and then I have a minor in criminal justice.
Okay. And then my first question, could you tell us about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
Sure, so I am running on a ticket with Strickland for president. We are running on 3 pillars of infrastructure, support, and innovation. So support is supporting the things that we already have at this university, academic success, things like that. And then innovation is kind of things that we want to dream about and look towards and work on. So some things being talking to Bryce Bible, actually, who's our head of IT, about maybe a unified USC app or trying to combine at least as much as humanly possible. But we also want to continue things that our student body president now, Courtney Tax, has started, things like Russell House expansion. I think is huge, looking forward to the student experience. We've looked at a lot of our aspirant institutions about things that we can improve upon on campus, and Russell House expansion is definitely something that I'm really passionate about and Emma's passionate about well, so definitely want to continue that project too.
And then how do you realistically plan to implement your campaign promises?
Sure, so realistically, we actually right now already have our Russell House expansion committee that Emma sits on. So continuing that initiative, also keeping in touch with Kim, who's our head of Russell House, about Russell House expansion. I actually sit on SLAG, which is our student life advisory group, and groups come and talk to us about different things that are innovating on campus, one of them being turning the Russell House Underground into like an e-gaming center, which I think could be cool. So keeping along all the stuff that we started this year. Emma, if elected, would sit on the board of trustees, so making sure from the highest point all the way down to communicating with students every day on campus, we're keeping them updated, staying transparent about what we are doing, and all the way up to advocating to our legislators like we were this morning at Carolina Day, or the board of trustees when they meet as well.
And then you mentioned you're rerunning for treasurer, so what are some things that you're currently doing now that you want to continue to do?
Sure, so this year I actually, along with the help of some students across campus, implemented our first quantitative partial funding method in student government. This is not something that I want to continue, but I think it's something that we need to continue until we can get the student activity fee raised in order to get more money to student orgs. But while the money sits where it is right now, we will continue with partial funding. Starting, maybe we're going to relook at it. In our codes, it lets us reevaluate it over the summer, so I'm looking forward to that with some new voices in student government. Just hearing about the things that we can continue to implement, working on with our student orgs. But we have a new reimbursement portal this year that's been working phenomenal. I actually just had a meeting yesterday with Parker Leak in finance about how amazing it's been going. So really looking forward to that continued partnership next year. Continuing the advocacy on all sides, not just finance related. It's definitely something that I want to continue. I've really liked the stepped up role that the treasurer has had this year, working with our president and vice president, all different kinds of initiatives. This year is the first year that I'm sitting on our Give for Garnet subcommittee, so helping plan a huge event out on Green Street on March 25th, which will be a lot of fun. Definitely want to continue that into next year. So lots of exciting things that I'm looking forward to continuing.
And what do you view as some improvements that you've made so far as treasurer from previous treasurers? So
far I would definitely say the partial funding has been a great step up. I've really worked with my team to making sure all voices and student orgs feel heard and seen. Maybe that even means bringing them into meetings, just sitting down and chatting with them about what this money means to them. Also talking to Courtney in her advocacy to get the student activity fee raised, just so we can get as much money as possible out to these orgs. I think other implementations that have been great is definitely the stepped up role of the treasurer. So getting to sit in advocacy meetings, going to the State House, doing things that I think traditionally haven't been done by a treasurer has also been really beneficial. I want to keep that going as well.
And what would success look like at the end of your term?
Success would look like making a positive impact on the student body after I leave. So it would look like allowing student orgs to have all these great events, working towards getting them more money across all of our different funding boards across campus, working on getting their money back in time in a timely manner, working on creating a process that they trust and that is not a pain to use, really working on simplifying. I'm really excited next year to work with Matt Hines, who's our Director of Administration in Student Life, just to work on getting a streamlined process going, maybe some future partnerships between SoFab, the board that he runs, and the student government board that I run. But overall, it would just mean leaving a positive impact on the student body and encouraging people to run for treasurer. I am running unopposed this year, but I think in the future, like, this is an amazing job and I cannot stress enough how important it is, and it's been such a great experience for me, never having been in student government before this, and I would just want to share that with the world, and so having people who want to run would also be a success.
And what drove you to campaign for this position again?
So I'm really passionate about our finance here, especially in student government, but not only am I passionate about the finances of student government, I'm also passionate just about the sheer impact that we make on the student body. The amount of people we reached over, I think it was over 4,000 students just last semester with our programming events. The initiatives that we do to help support students across campus is really important to me. I think the most important thing that we can do is be a liaison between any student and the board or any student and the legislator, just making sure all of our voices are heard, because at the end of the day, we're all college students. And just making sure that advocacy is heard across campus, that we're doing what's in the best interest of the student body. So that's very exciting as well.
And other than already having been treasurer, what, in your opinion, do you think qualifies you for the position?
Well, aside of already being treasurer, I have a really innovative mindset. I feel like sometimes my creativity goes a little wild. I have to dial it back on what's realistic. But I just really think my innovative mindset and my determination and my commitment to the role really makes me qualified. On top of being a finance major, I also help run 2 nonprofits outside of school, so that also keeps me dedicated. I always like to describe myself as someone as when I'm doing something, I'm doing it 100%. And so doing this job again next year, I'll be doing it 100% the same way I was doing it this year, and just really looking forward to serving the student body again.
And how do you plan to engage with students who usually don't vote in student government elections?
I think one of the things that makes me and Emma a successful partnership is that we're involved in a lot of things across campus. I think there are some people running who student government just really is like their core group of people. I would say that me and Emma spread far and wide. She is the only candidate who's in Greek life, which reaches a population that might not traditionally vote. I'm in a business fraternity. I'm also a competitive equestrian on our IHSA equestrian team. So reaching out to kind of those niche populations, Greek life, people like that we're uniquely a part of, is also something that I think will get better voter turnout.
And what makes you so passionate about being treasurer that you want to go for this position again instead of maybe another position like president or vice president?
I would have loved to run for student body president. Unfortunately, you do have to stay here over the summer as a requirement. I've accepted a role in Uptown Charlotte at US Bank, so I was unable to stay here over the summer, but I think in any role in student government, you can still make a huge impact. Like the impact that I feel like I've made as treasurer this year and the impact I've seen across campus is just astronomical. And I just really want to continue to make an impact on students in any way, shape, or form. And so I feel like treasurer for me just really resonates because I'm so passionate about the way our finance process works. I'm so passionate about making it better and leaving it better that this just traditionally like made a good fit for me.
And then just my last question. Normally when people are running on a ticket together, it says president and vice president. So how is it different being a president-treasurer ticket, and how are you and Emma working together to campaign?
Sure, so it definitely isn't traditional. It's been done before. So Luke Rankin, when he was president, he ran on a president-treasurer ticket, which was a successful ticket. I think it's also important to remind voters that the way our student government voting process works is we might be on tickets and we might be on campaigns, but you can actually vote individually for everyone. So Emma could be president with a different VP candidate and me as treasurer. I think that's also really important to remember. But I think we have very similar views on the things that we want to innovate on and change here. And I think we really just make a great partnership. And if she's elected, I would be like super happy to work with her next year as well.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My name's Kiki Dapalito. I'm running for Speaker of the Student Senate.
All right, and then your year and your major, and if you have any minor.
Yeah, I'm a junior. I'm majoring in sport and entertainment management.
Okay. And then could you tell us about your campaign goals and what students should expect if you were to win?
Yeah, right now my primary focus is to make representation a reality. Overall, I plan on doing this with quality over quantity legislation, student-focused action, and maintaining transparency and accountability. If I won, students could expect knowing what's going on with Senate, and they could expect seeing any concerns they've had actually be changed and implemented through from the planning process all the way to the implementation.
And then how do you realistically plan to implement your campaign promises?
Yeah, as Speaker, I would be facilitating the whole Senate. So realistically, I would need all hands on deck and really just the help of all senators and my staff. So I plan to use that and do a lot of bonding and really strong trainings for everyone so that people know what you need for legislation, how you can prepare for that, how you talk to your constituents, and then also for my staff to know how they can aid senators and how they can help out with all of that. And I feel like with this group effort, we could really get everything moving and have a lot of quality pieces for our students.
And what are some things that you personally want to do as Speaker of the Senate that previous speakers might not have done?
Yeah, as Speaker, one thing I really want to do is utilize our student government Instagram. There's a couple things to do through this. I want to do Instagram polls of just, oh, these are some issues we've heard about, which one, like, what is the one you face the most so that we can really prioritize our legislation. Also post on the Instagram of what Senate did this week, so maybe just overall what we were talking about and planning, and then also legislation that's been through or is on the calendar in plain, simple language, so that everyone could really understand what's happening. And then through, right now I'm a senator. In this term I've been planning an initiative with a couple other peers of Speak Up with Senate. So I plan to fully implement this as Speaker, where senators go out probably on a bi-monthly basis in front of their delegations or their colleges to really speak with students on campus. And then I would combine that qualitative data with the quantitative data from polls to focus on what we should be working on.
And then what would success look like at the end of your term?
Success would look like, for me at the end of the term, a really collaborative Senate, people that talk to each other in the sense of, this is what I might be working on, and then really just constructive conversations, not just, yeah, that sounds good, but yeah, that sounds good, maybe we could also add this or do this instead, to really get people to think outside of the box. That would be my number one success indicator for inside, but then outside also seeing students that know what Senate is and that know what we've done for them. And that would be my 2 success points.
And what drove you to campaign for this position in the first place?
So I have served in Senate for 2 terms already. A year and a half of those terms being chair of the Judiciary Committee. So I know a lot about the I know a lot about the codes and the Constitution, all of our governing policies, and I wanted to spread that through all the incoming senators and people around, and just spread like, this is what we're here for, this is the purpose, we're here for the students. And I really want to push that message that we're here to serve the students. And through my experience, I think I could help guide everyone to serve them the best to their ability.
And what makes you so passionate about being involved with Senate?
Yeah, my passion really comes from the people I've met through Senate. In Senate, we have a bunch of different delegations, so I've met a lot of people from different majors, and I've met a lot of people from just different states in general, and I think that whole community made me really realize how awesome this school is and how awesome it is to see people from diverse backgrounds come all together. And it's really pushed me to want to serve even further for everyone on campus and build that community for everyone else.
And how do you feel being the chair of a committee prepares you for Speaker of the Senate?
Yeah, I think it really, specifically my committee, I think it really prepares me because of how much time I spend with the codes. We've been doing a lot of codes revisions, so I pretty much know them like the back of my hand. I mean, some senators come up to me and they have a quick question and don't have time to check the codes, and they're like, oh, what, like, are we allowed to do this? And I usually have an answer. So I think that really prepares me because I know how it should be governed. I also think my experience prepares me because on the other side of bills and the codes is recommendations. And I know the steps to really great recommendations and also the steps to not so great recommendations. So I know how to lead people and give them that guidance to get where they need to go for the outcome that they want.
And what are some things, in your opinion, outside of just already being involved with Senate, that you think makes you a good candidate for this position?
Yeah, right now I'm the women's manager for our tennis team here at the University of South Carolina. So right now I don't manage 50 people, but I do manage a team and staff of about like 15 to 20 people depending on the day. So I am very good with adapting to new situations. We travel a lot, so when we're on the road, new things will arise, and I'm pretty good with problem solving there, and I could use those skills with Senate as well for anything that comes up, or even when there's a difficult decision that needs to be made. I also believe that that job has really helped me because you also work with a group of a lot of different people. I mean, on the tennis team, we have people from different countries, so you learn about different people, you learn about athletes and what they need, which is one of the pillars of student life. So you are just learning more than what you came from and how you can help all of that.
And how do you plan to engage with students who usually don't get involved in student government elections?
Yeah, so right now, I plan to engage with them obviously through tabling. We started yesterday. It's been awesome so far. But one of my posts that are coming up are why students should vote in the student body elections. A main thing that I believe students should vote for someone that they have the same values of. I think it's important to emphasize that if you believe the same thing as this person and you want to see those changes, put your vote in there and make your voice heard. I also plan on just really publicizing student government and what we do for people and how we help. And we're not just a student government organization, we are a student government organization for the students.
And then just my last question, as someone who's already been involved with Senate, what would it mean to you to now be kind of in charge of all of it?
Yeah, it would honestly mean so much to me. Senate kind of makes me emotional in a way because you see people come in for their first term or come in from a vacancy, and I was in that position once. I was sitting there and I was like, what exactly should I say? What is the right motion for this? And then seeing those people prosper and really learn and really like build a passion for it, and then build a passion for writing legislation and for helping out their students. It would just be awesome for me to see that for everyone, because right now I help out our vacant seat senators now with their legislation or with reaching out to people or finding the right contacts, and being able to do that for everyone would just mean the world.
All right, great, thank you so much.
Thank you.